Hello, welcome to the post-match reaction. I'm Dan Rowenson, joined here very late on Thursday evening by Matt Kendrick, as Aston Villa have got their first points in the Group E of the Europa Conference League after a 1-0 win against HSK Zrinjski Mostar. Matt, how are you?
Just trying to adjust my microphone because it's covering my lovely face. I'm buzzing. To be honest, I love an injury time winner. I really do. My son was saying he prefers to win 5-0, which I get the vibe, and I did enjoy the 6-1 at the weekend. But there's something when you think there's nothing but despair ahead of you, and then you just go and do it with kind of minutes or seconds left. Love it, mate. Love it.
Yeah, this could have been a very different podcast, couldn't it, without that last-minute winner from John McGinn, a 94th minute winner. You absolutely love to see it, don't you? Just as I was starting to think who's going to take this game by the scruff of the neck, and is one of these chances actually going to fall to the right player at the right time? Up pops Matty Cash with a great ball for John McGinn, a lovely little header as well, and a cracking celebration as well from the Scotsman as well. We probably won't. We always say let's try and keep this to half an hour. I think we'll get away with doing this for less, considering the time. For the bulk of the audience that are watching this on Friday morning, good morning, and I hope you recovered after last night. I've literally been in the door less than 5 minutes, so forgive me if I'm, one, slightly out of breath from running up the stairs, and two, a little bit all over the place, because I've not seen anything back from the game, apart from a few tweets and stuff on the way back in the car. I suppose we'll start where we always do with obviously we will talk about the game, but the bulk of it is just the elation of a last-minute winner. What did you make of the team selection and the level of rotation tonight? I know in the end we've won, so it's kind of like, oh, well, it worked, but it wasn't as convincing as maybe we would hoped it to have been.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a common theme, hasn't it, in these cup games? A bit like a broken record, repeating that the reserve, the understudies aren't as good as the main cast list, which is stating the obvious. I know otherwise they'd be playing every week, but I thought it looked disjointed at times. To be fair to our opposition, I thought they did a good job on us. To be honest, I thought spoiling tactics, time wasting, lots of people behind the ball, and very rare kind of counter attacks. I thought they came and did a really good job. But it was frustrating. But we got the win. I didn't think it was coming, Dan. I really didn't. I thought we'd blown it. I thought it'd have been a really damaging lack of victory, shall I say? But it's almost like the group's press reset on the group now, and it's almost like we start it from now, don't we?
Yeah, it's everybody in the group is on 3 points with a 0 goal difference. So yeah, we might as well have played 0 games and all be on 0. Villa's next game is Alkmaar away, isn't it? So a huge game for the kind of complexion of the group. I was expectant of that level of rotation. I think I've said for a couple of games now after Legia and Everton that the biggest position for me is goalkeeper, and if Martinez is fit and ready, he should be playing. And I think you could probably get away with rotating the other 10 players as long as Martinez plays. You should be fine, which is probably a bit of an overstatement, but he is the kind of key cog to everything we do at the back and instills that confidence in us playing out as well. Yeah, six changes was it? I think throughout the rest of the team off the top of my head, which was about right. But I think we're still seeing a little bit of evidence of, well, if we start with our strongest side when we can, if we were 3-0 up at half time, for example, you take off some of those main characters, like you just said, rather than having to bring on Douglas Luiz, Ollie Watkins, and somebody else at half time. Matty Cash, of course, yeah. You're kind of having to go, okay, we need the main guys in now to try and get something. The first half wasn't great, was it? And the second half was better, much better from Villa. But it just felt like one of those games that we were going to come onto this and say, just one of those nights, wasn't it, Matt? It just didn't fall for us. That's how it felt, and it was turning into a little bit of a frustrating evening, if not for that last-minute winner.
I think the dangerous thing about making that many changes and playing that many of your reserves is, I thought there was a lack of urgency and tempo in there. We've probably come to Tielemans again, who I didn't think was particularly great tonight. Dendoncker, midfield of Dendoncker and Tielemans, they probably do need to be playing week in, week out to be absolutely sharp. And I just thought we kind of lacked energy there. And then you've got Konsa playing at right back, so you're lacking an attacking incentive, I think, down that flank as well. And I just thought it all fell a bit flat. But I thought the one thing that Emery did really well was to make those changes nice and early, so that it did give us the impetus and the initiative at the start of the second half. I know it took a long while for that to pay off, but I think it was really, really kind of positive changes that he made. I suppose you could say his other substitute was involved because he fed Cash. Traore fed Cash the ball for the goal as well. So all's well that ends well. I think the key thing is, I think Unai Emery has more faith in his reserves than a lot of us do, and hopefully that will pay off. He eventually did tonight, but I do worry that we see this pattern of a team that just seems a little bit devoid of ideas and energy and a little bit sluggish. But ultimately, we've got there. He's kept a lot of his first team fresh for a big match in the Premier League at the weekend. So we have to bow down to the master, I think.
Yeah, I think the performance we saw was what you would expect from the level of rotation that we saw, that it was a disjointed side, and that gives you a disjointed performance. And in these group games, at least, it's just about getting the points on the board where you can to qualify, which isn't knockout football, but you have got to probably win 4 of the 6, and Villa can obviously still go on and do that. And it's important that they win the group, because if they finish second, they have a playoff round to get through to the knockouts, and it's obviously 2 extra games that they could do without. So winning the group is vastly important. But yeah, just a disjointed performance given the level of rotation, which is, frustrating, because as John said, once you've got to kind of play these players into form and give them minutes for sharpness, but that's just never going to happen, is it? Tielemans and Dendoncker aren't going to be starting games together. And when they're thrown into the fire like they are, they don't look quite ready, and that's a bit of a concern, that the guys behind the starting 11, 12, 13 players aren't as comfortable as we'd like, probably. I think if Dendoncker and Tielemans were playing week in, week out in the Premier League, you'd see better performances from them. But because they're not getting that, that's part of the problem. I'm just going to read a couple of comments that I picked out early on. David Starr says, "Is this the X-rated Claret and Blue Knights episode?" I guess we could swear and stuff if you want to, Matt, but I will refrain from that. But it is late. We're recording this at 11:30 on Thursday. Adam agrees with you. Hate seeing Concert at right back. Offers nothing going forward, although he's a very good footballer. It's not his natural role, as we know. Peter Noakes says we can't play without Louise, who, again, we all know is instrumental. A couple of ones for Emmy Martinez. Stuart says Emmy saved, world class. I assume that's how he wants the to sound. 2 great saves from Emmy tonight, says Nick. Yes, kept us in the game, and I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like if Olsen played, we probably do concede there. Ron, not the best performance tonight, but we got the result. That's all that matters. And Jason agrees, all about the win. Now, I don't want to kind of over-analyse here, if there's even such a thing. I did wonder about the tempo of the game, whether that was intentional from Villa to begin with, that it wasn't a kind of a lack of quality, and it was just, don't let Warsaw happen. Don't let the away side come here and get not cocky, get confident and get their crowd behind them who were good, and we'll talk about them in a second. Don't let them get their backs up and nick an early goal and get this tetchy, tense game that's kind of pinball. Just slow the game and maybe take a bit of the sting out of it. But the longer that went on, it did feel a little bit like maybe this is just a disjointed side and it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, I think the Martinez save in the first half, I mean, that was the chance of the first half, wasn't it? I know Zaniolo's had a spectacular kind of overhead kick that was saved, but that was the chance of the first half. And I think that you said don't let them in through the back door. I think if you hadn't made that save, I think it'd have become a nervy night. It was a nervy night anyway. But actually, my lad told me to say that the number 99, their captain, he reminded him of you. He got a massive slap head. I think he got a massive receding hairline. So if you Google pictures of him, he doesn't look like you, but from a distance from our seat, he did seem like the receding hairline was a kind of nod to Rollinson.
Lovely.
But
I want at 11:30 on a Thursday night to be abused by your son.
I don't think it was a deliberately slow tempo performance. I just think it was.
Oh, we're not dealing with your dodgy Wi-Fi again, are we? If we are, you might want to hop off and come back, and I'll just read some comments while you disappear into a blur. Are you back? Talk to me, please. No, he's not back. You can leave if you want. I can see you moving, but I can't hear anything. Right, let's read some comments. Ad says, "Would you rather start a stronger 11 and then take them off if we have a couple of goals?" That's what I've been saying for a couple of games now. I thought it after Everton, and I thought it. I know we've won tonight, but I still think if you play your strongest team where possible and you're 3-0 up at half time, you can bring off a handful of those players and kind of calm it down a little bit. Gaz Oaks, we have to play Martinez, Concert, and Louis and Douglas Luiz in every game. It's something that's probably not going to happen, but I agree they are vastly important to us. Matt, are you back? Are you with me?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. I mean, there's a comment here, another one from Gaz actually. Matt saying someone's got a massive slap head. Yes, how dare you? I just said before you disconnected, I did not fancy coming on here at 11:30 to be abused by your son via the internet. It's not what I expected from this.
Yeah, I mean, I am aware that I've got a head like an egg. I just kind of gave into it rather than persisted with it. But I reckon you got another 3 or 4 months with that anyway. So, what you been filling with while I've been away?
Yeah, I just read some comments. Nothing in particular. Just something to fill the time. This is why we don't do these live at the moment. By the way, for this very reason.
Go on anyway. Get me back on track. What do you want to talk about now?
Talk to me about Tielemans a little bit. What did you make of him? I thought he had a couple of moments where he was just kind of pinging a lofted ball into no man's land a little bit, and just felt a little bit like what we've seen from him so far in his Villa career. That a couple of moments where you think, oh, there's a bit of quality there, but the rest of it, no, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Physically,
yeah, he just seems a little bit careless at times. I think he gave the ball away too cheaply, and there's a lot of occasions where the ball was fed back into him in the kind of right hand side of the penalty area, and his delivery was poor. I don't know. Listen, it's early days, and it's hard for him to be up to speed when he's not kind of playing regularly in the Premier League. I don't want to write him off because he obviously comes with a good pedigree. And it was interesting seeing Tielemans and Dendoncker. Whether they'd have necessarily been starters in it, I don't know, but they're probably part of Belgium's golden generation, as was. So we've got quality players there, and 2 or 3 years ago, both of those would have been playing regularly week in, week out in 2 very good Premier League teams in Leicester and Wolves, who are obviously they've fallen from grace, both of them now, but were both very influential in those teams and playing every week. So we've got quality there. I just don't know. You just when you see them in the team, rather than Luiz, rather than Kamara, rather than Jacob Ramsey, it becomes a little bit static and one-paced, rather than the kind of high energy tempo that we like to see Villa play at. So, listen, I think Tielemans is a better player than we've seen so far, but he frustrated me tonight, I must admit.
Let's focus on some positives then. I like what I'm seeing from Zaniolo a little bit, but I could say the same things about him that frustrating at times. Obviously, he's playing kind of that second striker role, wasn't he? And that we normally used to see somebody like Diaby in. That overhead kick that you mentioned was borderline spectacular and would have took the roof off Villa Park had that gone in. He feels a little bit to me that like once he gets his first goal, whenever that comes, he might maybe relax a little bit, for want of a better phrase. And I feel like sometimes he's trying a little bit too hard to make something happen out of nothing, which is great if it comes off. And to be honest, at times I felt like we needed that little bit of magic out of nowhere, somebody to do something that you're not kind of expecting, and he might be the one to do that. I think once he gets his first goal, he will take off a little bit, but there is times where you do feel, as Jason says there, a luxury player, maybe somebody you kind of carrying a little bit, but I don't want to be too harsh on him because I think there was talent in there.
I fancied him to score tonight, I must admit. I thought he was going to score. He obviously pulled that little bit of magic out for the bicycle kick. I think we said this after the previous European game against Warsaw, that when he drives and when he carries the ball with intent, I think he looks a lot more dangerous. I think when he's only on the ball for short amounts of time, I don't think we get to see much of him. But because tonight we didn't have Matty Cash first half and we didn't have Jacob Ramsey, I don't think when we didn't have Luiz, we didn't not that Luiz is a massive ball carrier anyway, but we didn't have people who could try and carry that ball and advance up the pitch, with the exception of perhaps Leon Bailey. So I think Zaniolo, when he's in full flight, I think he looks like a powerhouse, and he looks like he can cause problems. But I don't think we saw enough of that. It possibly is a little bit of nerves again. I don't want to get in the business of writing him off because I think there's a good player in there, but it was all a little bit nearly and not quite for most of the match tonight until that breakthrough moment.
Yeah, totally agree. Like I said, I was expecting this to be a very different conversation about what I thought it was going to peter out to be a 0-0, and it was one of those nights that you just didn't fall for Villa. Just one of those things. What did you make of the penalty shout? I assume, like me, you've not seen it back, but obviously VAR intervention in the Europa Conference League this time, read out in English and whatever the language is that they speak. I should know this, but I don't.
It was I have seen it back. While I was making a cup of tea as I got through the door, I watched some of the highlights on YouTube on TNT, and it looked like it hit him in the head first. So he couldn't really know where the ball was going to go after it bounced off his head. So I think it probably was the right decision. At the time, I did think, why have they placed the screen for him to look at right in front of the ultras? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Normally on the halfway line, isn't it?
Right in front of the away end. I thought, well, is he going to go and watch it on one of their phones or what? I couldn't work out where the screen was at first, but I thought the ref was interesting. I don't know where. I probably should have done my homework. I don't know where the ref was from, but I thought it was interesting. I thought he wanted to be centre of attention first half, and I suppose when you're dressed like a massive fluorescent yellow highlighter pen, you are going to be centre of attention anyway. But I thought he was a little bit. I don't know. I mean, he booked McGinn. I haven't seen the McGinn one back. He booked McGinn for a dive, didn't he? In the first 10 minutes, which to the naked eye looked a bit harsh, but he looked like one of them refs who wanted to be, the showman, I suppose, for the first half.
A couple of shouts in the comments that he was from Switzerland, who I assume they've seen on TV and know more than us. The ref wasn't interesting. He was terrible, which, probably more accurate. There's the coming together between Cash and, again, one of their players, and it all got a little bit handbags where they were both booked. Again, obviously, I've not seen it back. I don't know whether there's more in it there, but that feels like the easy decision, isn't it? There's a bit of a scuffle. Book them both.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, I think that was when they were starting to step up their time wasting, and every 5 minutes, one of them was going down injured in their own penalty box. And I think it was when did their goalie throw it out for a breaking play, and we threw it back to them, and then Cash chased it down straight away. And I think that's what kind of prompted a little bit of bad blood, and then it was a little bit of fisticuffs or a little bit of handbags. But yeah, like I said, I thought they came and were quite streetwise, to be honest, and they obviously got a plan to frustrate us and to spoil it for us. But it reminded me a little bit of I was chatting to my lad and his mate on the car on the way back, and it was obviously the late elation was a little bit like the Watford game and the Leicester semi-final game, but it reminded me about the Watford game because I remember Ben Foster just kind of time wasting and frustrating, so much so that in injury time, it gave us enough injury time to score the winner. It was a bit like that today, although the game plan was to frustrate us. The fact that we scored, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes into 6 minutes of injury time, it was their undoing in the end, I think.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to expect in these kind of games, aren't they? Everyone in this group and the tournament will be looking at Villa, specifically at Villa Park, and think that's going to be very difficult for us to go there and get anything. So for them to get to the 93rd minute at 0-0, they're going to time waste, aren't they? I don't really have too much problem with that. For them to have won their first game and then get a point at Villa Park would have been brilliant for them. So I don't really care too much. I think we're going to see that as the favourite in a lot of these games that we play. Sides are going to do things like that. A couple of comments very quickly. Everyone saying the penalty was no way a penalty. Like I said, I haven't seen it back, so not a clue at the moment. Bounced off his face, wasn't a pen, wasn't a penalty, hit him in the face, 100% not a penalty. Haha. Okay, so that's cleared up, all well and good. Let's talk about the goal then. Matty Cash puts the ball in for McGinn. Like we said earlier, very good header. A great celebration, wasn't it? I'm a big fan of the big screen showing McGinn with his... I don't even know how he does it. I don't even want to try. I feel like I'm going to break my fingers. He puts his eyes up to the fingers up to the eyes. I'm trying. For those that listen, I'm trying to do it, and I've given myself cramp in my finger. I like that the big screen has got that's his celebration. That he ran down towards the corner flag, maybe slid on his stomach, on his knees, and then went back for another run back towards the goal end, giving it big. Excellent. And as we said earlier, when you're kind of looking for somebody to take the game by the scruff of the neck, John McGinn, captain, leader, steps up and scores the winner.
It was a brilliant goal. It was brilliantly manufactured.
Trying to do it again, I still can't. You have a go?
I'm not doing it. I've got my specs on already. I don't need to. It was brilliantly manufactured. It was a great little header, to be honest, and they defended their box quite well. And there's quite a few kind of skirmishes or penalty box pinball, I suppose, with the ball bouncing around. But they managed to find the right angle for the cross. We're quite critical of Matty Cash, aren't we, sometimes with his delivery from those areas. But it was a great ball in, and how McGinn's kind of managed to glance that and direct it into the corner away from the keeper's brilliant. And as well as the celebration, I don't think I've ever heard a louder rendition of John McGinn's signature chant. I thought it was absolutely kind of spine tingling, I suppose. And I think it was just that, almost that release of frustration and elation at the same time. It was really good. It was ringing around the ground really loud. And because it was so late, I don't know whether it's the same for you, but certainly in the top of the Trinity, because it was so late in the game, everybody stayed on their feet from the celebration all the way to the final whistle. So I thought it was a really special moment, a really important one.
Yeah, really, really good. What did you make of the atmosphere overall and the whole kind of just being in Europe thing? Before we talk about the away fans specifically, obviously all the European branding up around Villa Park, the music pre-match, everything done slightly differently. What did you make of it?
I thought the away fans were at a good old time by the look of it. They were bouncing all the way through the game. It did make me laugh when the North Stand. I think they were singing something in their mother tongue, and the North.
I've googled it since, by the way, and it's as obviously as you would expect. The main language in Bosnia and Herzegovina is Bosnian, so probably that.
There we go. Well, they were singing something in that language in Bosnian, and then the North Stand just started singing what the FNL was that or something.
Yeah, that's good.
Very nice welcome to our
peak European football, isn't it? That.
But it was funny because I could see, because we sit directly opposite the away fans. And there's a fella, I think he was wearing a grey jumper and a hat, possibly, with my dodgy vision. Almost like the conductor. I think there's somebody with a megaphone next to him, and the conductor, who I don't think he watched any of the game. I think his job was purely just to bring the kind of choir together. But yeah, I thought they were good. I think they came to enjoy themselves. We're quite close to kind of stealing the draw. I thought Villa's atmosphere, in terms of the home crowd, I thought we kind of cranked it up when we needed to. And obviously it built into a crescendo at the end. I thought it was decent. I don't know whether it was because it was European football, but I like a fairly packed. It wasn't a full house, but I like a fairly packed Villa Park under the floodlights for any occasion. But it would have been a damp squib, wouldn't it, if it have ended 0-0? But I don't know what you've. I mean, some of the branding and the little banners looked a little bit cheap and amateurish. I think that the ones that were on the what was it on the Whitman and stuff, but you got to try, haven't you?
I thought it was interesting. This is such a nothingness point, really, that the branding was up on the Whittam side and the TV cameras were in that side, so you wouldn't see them anywhere. I don't know what was on the Trinity side, because obviously I'm in it, so I can't see. Like where you've got when you walk in through the concourse, when you're in the stadium side, like the banners that are normally up, like the walls, let's say Castor or whatever, some of those were the Conference League ones, and they were good. I was just thinking, this is such a stupid point. I wish it said Champions League instead of Europa Conference League and all the little banners and stuff, which it said even the Europa League. But yeah, absolutely doesn't matter. A few comments talking about the atmosphere, that it didn't sound great on TV. And when I got back, my mum had it on, and she said that even their fans didn't sound great on TV as well, which I thought was strange, because they were singing throughout the game and were good. They had the pyro, didn't they, going off, which I know you're not allowed it, but that looked quite good as well. They had the big Ultras flag. I've seen some bits after, which I have not been able to confirm, about Nazi salutes, which is obviously not what we want to see. So I don't want to sit here and say they were great fans if that's what they were doing. Besides all that, though, I thought up until that they were good. And the thing that you were talking about when that was like orchestrating the chant, I think that was just Zrinjski they were shouting, is what I thought it was. But it was like that bellowing kind of deep kind of European football sound where like there's a bit of silence and then they shout it, and a bit of silence and they shout it, and then the North Stand giving them back was like a nice kind of summary of welcome back to European football for Villa Park.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if there's any of those unsavoury things that you said. I mean, that's probably underplaying it, the word unsavoury, if they are been doing those salutes. But the bits that I saw, I did think when the pyros started getting letting off, I thought, blimey, there's more flares than Dan's dad's wardrobe there. But don't tell him, don't tell him that. But no, I thought the atmosphere was decent. It was a lot better than the previous week against Everton. Anyway, let's put it that way.
Of course, yeah, exactly. There'll be loads of other little talking points around the game. Of course, we are 25 minutes in and it's almost midnight, so I'm keen to wrap up very soon. Me and John might do another podcast tomorrow to look ahead to Wolves, and I'll get some of his thoughts on the game as well with anything that we've missed tonight. Just something away from obviously tonight's game a little bit. The England squad was announced this afternoon. Ollie Watkins is in it. Ezri Konsa is not. Just your thoughts generally on that England squad announcement, please.
Yeah, I think it's easy for us Villa fans to give Gareth Southgate a kicking sometimes, so I might as well. I don't know. There was just a quote. There's just some of his comments talking about kind of recency bias. And I think he was trying to say that with Ollie Watkins, it wasn't recency bias. And I haven't just called him up because I was at Villa Park to see him score a hat-trick against Brighton. But I don't know. He felt a little bit. If you rated him for a while, why haven't you picked him sooner? Basically, and it was almost as if Ollie Watkins has suddenly just emerged on the scene when we know that's the case. And if anything, with Southgate, it's more kind of legacy bias because we've still got the likes of Maguire. Calvin Phillips. Was Henderson in again?
Yeah.
We've still got people like that who are kind of living off past glories. Makes it sound as if it was 5 years ago, but certainly players who aren't playing at that competitive standard regularly anymore. And it's one of those ones, isn't it, where I've made my feelings known about Villa players being called up for England many times before. I want Ollie Watkins to sign that contract before he gets his head turned by mixing with anybody in the England squad. And the noises from Emery saying he's pretty. Did he say 100% confident that he's going to sign that contract? That interests me more than Ollie Watkins playing for England, to be honest. But it just seemed, again, Southgate a kick in because he's frustrated us since England manager. But I don't know, he felt like he was kind of working too hard.
Yeah, I've lost you for a little bit there. I don't know whether people listening did as well. If they did, apologies for that. I'll try and edit that out of the version that goes up tomorrow. The point stands, though. I still don't get what Ezri Konsa needs to do to get in there. I think he's one of, if not the best English centre-half playing at the moment. Yes, he's definitely lost me. Okay. Hopefully he comes back. Ezri Konsa should definitely be in there. I mean, talk about recency bias. Lewis Dunk's in the squad after conceding 6 to Villa, while Ezri Konsa is still nowhere to be seen. It's nice for Ollie Watkins to be in there, and I've said before, I want Villa players to be in the England squad to get that kind of recognition. But I don't really care about him playing for England because probably won't even feature when we're talking about why is he only in there now? We've all seen the stats of his goal scoring record as an English player without penalties, just behind Harry Kane. I think most goal contributions under Unai Emery since he's been here, only behind Haaland and Salah. Again, for goal contributions over the last, maybe just this calendar year, I'm not quite sure. He should have been in there months ago. To only call him up now and then claim recency bias when, as you said, Matt, very, very rightly so, he's still picking Maguire and Henderson. I don't get it. But ultimately, Southgate's England bore the life out of me anyway, so I don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah, just before we go, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to mention as well. I know I'm obsessed with this. People must be bored of it. There was no halftime entertainment at all.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight, was that? And I've come up with a name for it as well.
Have you? Okay. Send it to Villa then.
SWAT and shot. Do you like it? Because
Yeah.
they have to answer questions, and then they have to take a shot.
Yeah.
No, you're not having that. And the other thing that really, really pleased me, did you see McGinn's shoulder barge about 5 minutes into the game?
Yes.
I
Big
love
fan.
that. The kid, the other fella bounced off him so much. You know, it reminded me of. It reminded me of. Have you ever seen like a dad on the Dodgems who's like really kind of confident and just kind of embracing whatever it is, the contact, I suppose. It was like that. Just McGinn. There was no doubt that McGinn was gonna win that. You could almost see the kind of mischief in his eyes.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm glad he got the goal tonight, McGinn, because I think, like you said, sometimes you need somebody to come and make that moment happen and to come and drag you through. And I thought it was a captain's moment. But yeah, I think that was it for me. The only other thing was
let's go to bed. Come on. Not together. That'd be
but
weird.
I saw that I promised a shout out to a lad called Ammo from
Okay.
Stourbridge who collared me when I was putting goal nets up at Britannia Park in Rowley Regis on Sunday morning. So he actually got me out of putting the goal nets up. To be honest, it was a convenient distraction. So he's a big Villa fan and a big follower of the show. So big shout out to Ammo as well.
Lovely.
Okay.
All right. Yes, absolutely. It's 4 minutes to midnight on Thursday. Thank you very much, Matt, for chatting with me. Thanks everyone for watching along live as well. Almost 500 people watching at this time. Fair play to you. Like I said before, the majority of this will be people watching tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously I can't edit out any of the problems with Matt's connection because this was live. For the audio listeners, hopefully I've been able to tidy that up a little bit as well. Matt, thanks for joining me. It's job done, isn't it, for Villa? As much as the performance wasn't brilliant tonight, it's 3 points on the board in Group E. We go again in a few weeks, I assume, and it's Wolves this Sunday in the Premier League. When me and John might do another show, I say tomorrow in 4 minutes' time, but we'll see how that goes. Thanks everyone for watching. Oh, here we go.
We've got somebody begging you for a shout out on here. Leighton Taylor, M. Leighton Taylor.
Leighton Taylor. Yep. I remember that one. I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell. Shout out to Leighton Taylor. We must have met maybe, and I said I was going to give you a shout out, but I don't remember. Apologies. I'm terrible for these kind of things. I get a lot of people. I don't say a lot. I get people come up and say like, "Oh, this was something that I had a lot of people say today about the show me, Max, James, and Simon did about like the off the pitch matters." People saying like they enjoyed that one. But like I'm terrible at remembering names and stuff, and even remembering the shout out. But come on, it's 3 minutes to midnight now.
So big time, aren't you?
A little bit of slack. I didn't mean it like that because it's not. I'm not being swamped. When I say a lot of people, it's probably about 4, but that's a lot. It's a lot for me, and I appreciate every single one. So thank you very much for everyone for watching this one or listening on Spotify. Matt, thanks for joining me as always. We'll be back very soon with another show. Until then, up the Villa.